Okay. For this podcast, we will be stealing another idea I got from YouTube. This comes from a channel called Survival Gumball. Stupid name, but cool guy. He basically, at Final 5 of every Survivor season, goes through every single possible Final Tribal combination. So I figured, hey, that might be fun. So we're gonna do the same thing. Go
I'm
through.
here too.
Yeah, he's here too. Uh, we're gonna go through all 10 combinations and say who we think wins them, who votes who, and yeah, uh, we'll try and keep this not super long, but we might end up yapping too much. But I
Well,
just want to get into it.
to get into it, what is the first group or
Yes,
trio that we are looking at?
the
Oh
four.
yeah, and to say it's a final three.
Yeah, it's a final three. If it was a final two, we would record this at the final four.
Oh yeah, because that's less whack.
Yeah. So the forced combination is this wasn't intentional, but the forced combination is also what I believe to be the most likely combination. It is Beagle, High Space, and Jonah.
Yeah, yeah, this seems most likely. We both agree that like one of Paintbrush or Parker is going to be booted at Final Five, and if the other doesn't win immunity, they're probably going to be booted. Um, I don't know how we're gonna do this format because I would kind of like I maybe
Yeah,
don't see who would vote who, but I would just be like, this is who I think would win of these three.
yeah. I mean, I intend to go down vote by vote. So I'll just say my
All
thoughts,
right.
like, that's stupid, or whatever. Um,
Yeah, that's stupid.
I think the hardest vote to pin down in this combination and every combination is Ellie because she isn't she didn't make the merge like everyone else here. But based on what we do have, she was with Jonah in the game while she wasn't with Beagle or High Space. So just for that, I feel like she's a Jonah vote.
Okay, wait. Let's take a little look because yeah, she never met High Space. She met Beaker on her Lost Tribe. She met she was with Jonah forever, yeah. And met Paintbrush on Kirby Tribe and was with Paintbrush and Fox Tribe, but never met Walker.
Jonah did take her out though, and they were never close. Hmm. I think her
Hmm.
vote could go anyway. Actually, anyway. I think she would respect Beagle's game because I feel like they play somewhat similar games. The issue with her is that she hasn't given many opinions in Jory, so we can only really speculate what to do here. My gut says just to give it. I don't want to say Jonah because I don't think Jonah will actually have the votes to win, so I think a lot of people will vote one of the other two. So I'm gonna put her down as a Beagle vote. Do you
Yeah, I
find
would
that?
say Beaker. Like I would think she would vote Beaker, Joan, like she of the five, she would vote like Beaker and Jonah, if they were in there. And then if they weren't, it would be like an unknown. It is definitely hard because of the factor of she hasn't met High Space and Parker, and I don't think she would vote Paintbrush. So it's this kind of thing of like, it's like not having the experience of being that juror that was like in that situation before, so I can't really like tell how someone would think in that scenario. So it really is sort of just a shot in the dark. And yeah, she's been like busy with in real life stuff. So she hasn't said much on her thoughts and stuff.
Yeah,
So you really don't know what there is to say. I think her vote does just basically come down to Final Tribal Council in
Yeah.
who she wants to give her vote to the most and who is able to articulate that to her.
Yeah, I think every single other vote would be much easier to mark down who we think it would be.
Yeah.
For example, I think Jalen obviously votes high space heal.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. Paintbrush and Paco weren't there. What is the pitch?
I say this pretty much just because Jalen has been a high space fan while on the jury.
Uh then I will agree with that. Because he never no, he was with Jonah for Kirby.
Yeah.
Um and then yeah, if he's a high space fan, then yeah.
And then Minnie votes for Beagle.
Yep, Ride or Dies.
And then Thirium. Hmm. I think my gut says high. But if I pull up Phil's list of who they said, it would be high. Yeah, it would be high. Just based on
Yeah.
what we have now. And
I I have my thoughts because my thoughts aren't like on the individuals and it's just a broad thing, but I don't want to get to that yet. So I'm gonna nod because this gets to the stage where I'm like kind of impartial.
yeah, so Badger, I'm thinking about what he would do. I think my gut says he would also be a high space vote, but I'm trying to
I
find
don't
his.
think so.
Let
High
me.
Space voted him out.
I think Badger would respect that though. Let me find.
Maybe, but Badger also gave the monkey bomb to Beaker, so I would think Badger would be a vote for Beaker.
Oh, you are so right. I
And I do think they kind of have like similar games.
Yeah, I just found his ranking of who he wants to win, and definitely Beagle.
Yeah. And then it would be like Zach and Tucker, I would say High Space because they were
Yeah,
aligned with High Space in their trio.
I agree with
Um,
that. So now High has four
Jenny,
votes.
unknown. Parker, unknown. Paintbrush, unknown.
Yeah, so High has 4 votes and Beagle has 3 right now. I think Jenny would do Beagle or High Space.
Hmm.
I would say I think from a personal standpoint she respects Beagle more, but from a game standpoint she respects High Space more. But
Yeah.
I would say she does Beagle if I had to say for sure.
Mm, yeah. I would agree to that, but I also would I would not be surprised if she did vote High Space. But yeah, it's that
Yeah.
same thing. Like it's hard to fully tell. And then Parker and Paintbrush, I think, would just be High Space.
I think Poggle. I. Why would you say high space from him?
I think he would just respect High Space's game sort of thing. I feel like he's the kind of person as a juror who would go and respect like he would be like, I believe that this person played the best game and vote them. And I believe he would see it being High Space due to being like possible adversaries throughout the merge.
Yeah, you sold me.
Mm. Because it's also I think Parker would want to take Beaker and Jonah to the end, and um, he would try and get out High Space if he could. So I think it's that kind of thing of like because it depends on a certain sense, and also on the person, because who you want out can be, I think, of respect where you vote them at the end, or you just don't connect with them enough where you don't want to vote them at the end, even though you maybe want them out or think they're a big threat.
Parkour has been hyping up Beaker's jewelry management a bunch recently though. But I would still say he does high. Yeah. And then Paint. I think there would have been a case for him to vote Jonah before today. But now I think he's a high space vote.
What makes him a high space vote and not a Jonah vote? What happened?
He's basically just mad at how he feels like Jonah's kind of guilt tripping him.
Oh, I should read up on that. Is it a hypocritical concept to go at because Paintbrush did like fucked over Jonah last round? I know Jonah's forgiven him per se for that, but obviously it's not the same thing. Like I think what Jonah and Beaker sort of tricked Jenny and said they were gonna or High Space Beaker said they were gonna vote Jonah and got Jenny. Paintbrush tricked them, but guilt tripping is like a different thing.
Yeah, I think Paint. I think High Space. I think he does what Parkour wants. I think they would have the same thoughts in Jory. So I think High Space makes sense.
Yeah. Um.
Meaning that this forced scenario would be a 6-4-0 vote going to High Space.
4-6, but 6-4. Sorry, I like the bigger number first. But obviously it's the order of Beaker, High Space, Jonah. Which boom, it's shown on the video due to graphics stuff. Yeah, 6-4-0. I see that. Yeah. As soon as I saw that matchup, I was like, yeah, I think High Space wins. Because my simple thought is like that I hesitated in our recordings of the merge votes was High Space. I would say High Space and Parker are the top two big threats per se. I wouldn't say Paintbrush is necessarily one of the big threats. I would say High Space also maybe had more. Him and Jenny would have been a battle against each other, to be honest. And even then, there's also like I think also Beaker has played impressively in an under the radar manner. I'm just like I just have like a different gameplay lens, so I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that typically does under the radar, so like to see an under the radar game and like enjoy it and be like, yeah, I want to vote for that is hard for me, so I'll like underplay that. So it's like I think the Final Five have played pretty good games. And I
Yeah,
think
no, I
I
agree.
I like how it's not that simple thing of like one group is the threats, one group is the goats per se. I see Jonah as the goat, it seems, which is interesting.
His game isn't even
He's
bad. Like
he
he's played a
reminds me
good
of
game.
Jake,
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
and I love Jake. I think it's just the simple thing of it. It mainly just comes down to articulation.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
where it sort of falters, and also like my take of why, like in comparison of like there is a difference between an underdog and a goat with very similar games, and the simple sort of gist per se is like what didn't work for Jake in my view was he was sort of underdogish. Yeah, he was like constantly on the bottom and stuff, but it was this thing of like he tried to make all these plans and stuff, and that stuff never worked because he just did not have a good social game and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And underdogs kind of have that good social game because they have people like them, and they're an underdog and people want to support them. Because in the end, you want to vote for who you like the most per se. That's my opinion. It's like
mhm.
um, part of the time you're just you want to vote who you want to vote, so it kind of comes down to a sense of like likability, and for that it comes to a little bit of social game. And the other two finalists in the final three had that better social and likability charm than him, and that's why his plans didn't work because he didn't have the social prowess that they did. So I think maybe the simple thing here is just Jonah maybe lacking the social prowess to make his game fully stick through as a strong underdog thing. It's just a lot has not gone his way, but he maybe hasn't been picking up allies as they go into the jury.
I think part of it is that Jonah has talked to people about how he's so worried that he's going to become a goat that it is somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Perception is reality.
Yeah, if he
Yeah.
puts the idea into people's head that he could be a goat, people are gonna think he's a goat.
Yeah, unless you have like a resume that you can throw out surprise at the end to say I did all this to change it around, people's minds can typically be stuck into the perception and stuff. And yeah, that doesn't help being like I'm worried that I'm a goat. It's the same thing you like someone's like, oh, I think you're a big threat, and you're like, ah, no, 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 that's not like not true. It's like you're already having this conversation. The mind can't really be changed. I think simple thing is you just don't discuss that, and
Mm-hmm.
you just be like, you just never discuss yourself being a goat. I don't like even then goat discussion
Yeah.
early on until later, or like I don't know. I find it hard. Like I think my last game I struggled to speak on goats due to the thing of like that would be the person to my face. That would be a person like still in the game as it like dwindling in numbers and like or an ally, and I just feel bad saying, "Oh yeah, I think you lose no matter what." Um, that's just a hard thing to say because I think it would suck if it's said to me. So it's like I don't want to say that to other
Yeah.
people. So like goat discussion, it's hard, and it doesn't help when you yourself are like you were saying it. Instead, you make it easy on the other people than getting
Yeah.
their mind. What's the next?
Okay. So we have 9 more of these to cover, but
We're so fucked.
they're gonna go fast because we will.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, they'll go faster as we go. Because, for example, the next scenario is High Space, Jonah, and Paintbrush. Um, we've already talked about what Ellie thinks of High Space and Jonah, so we just need to talk about what she thinks of Paintbrush. And I don't think she votes for Paintbrush, so that puts it down as High Space or
no.
Jonah.
Um, I think high space.
I would say the same thing.
It's here. It's like um ah I don't know. I'm like trying to think the thoughts of like who would go to who, and I'm just kind of like I feel like it's a battle of high space and paintbrush, and then it's the high space win. That's like my lock-in prediction before we probably like go down into them.
Yeah, after that, I think that Jalen's vote is pretty obvious. He would vote for Paint.
Uh, yes,
And then after that, we have Minnie, who I think is a high space vote.
agrees.
Phil, I think, is most likely also a high space vote.
No comment.
I'm pulling up the last thoughts.
It's just
Uh,
randomly said no comment.
yeah, I I think Phil is a high space vote.
Yeah. Some of them is like I don't like I haven't fully read anything, so I don't know everyone's full thoughts again. So it's like a guess.
Badger
Hmm.
would do. Hmm. Badger, based on the last ranking he did, he has Jonah above both of these people.
Jonah above High Space and Paintbrush.
Yeah, but at the same
Yeah, that
time,
makes sense.
yeah, they were close. I think that's a Jonah vote.
Yeah, they were. Um, didn't Jonah in Final 13? Didn't Jonah want Badger out over Ellie?
Oh,
From
mm, I I think Badger
enemies to best. I still think so. I still think he votes Jonah.
I think Badger could go anyway, any of these ways. I think
But maybe High Space if like High Space articulates it well. But it's also this thing of like in the trust rankings. Badger has high space low. And I remember somebody telling high space, oh, Badger like tried to save you in that boot by voting Parker. And high space was like, oh, I feel bad that like I just booted somebody that tried to save me. And then I look at the trust rankings and Badger has high space very low at the bottom. Like it could have still changed and stuff. But I was like, yeah, I don't think the vote was voting Parker to save you, but more so voting Parker to get out Parker. So I don't know if they're close, but it's like articulation wise.
yeah, I'm
That is the hard thing. It's so much easier to predict like jury votes and stuff when you're in the jury because you
yeah.
know everybody's like bond with each other. Here I'm like here I just felt like it was kind of a weird fluidness where like there weren't fully sides and stuff and there's like people who were like obviously close allies with each other, but other than that I'm like the fuck.
I think Badger's just off of what we have now, a Jonah vote.
I will agree with that.
Zach is a high space vote.
Tucker is a high space vote.
Yep. Jenny is not a paint vote. So she's either high or Jonah. I would say high.
Mm. She wouldn't vote paintbrush?
No, she doesn't. She's only walking with paintbrush because she's forced to. They've
Yeah.
never been close.
Yeah, then you said high space?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see that then.
Parker votes for
Mm.
paintbrush,
Yep.
and then Beagle votes for high.
Yep. What does that give us?
That means it is a 7-2-1, with high space getting 7 votes, paint getting 2, and Jonah getting 1.
That's already on the what's the goal? It's
Yep.
already on the video. It's the photo on the thing. Yada yada. It'll
Yep.
probably be before that. I'm
It's
like I'm putting my hand out like I'm like pushing it up there or
it's the
something.
photo on the
Like
thing.
you know how like you do those hand actions on
Yeah.
VCs.
Yeah. I do that. Okay.
I said hello to the jurors, and now they're Zach asked for a movie rec. So speak of the next thing, and I need to think of a movie.
Okay. The next scenario is high space versus Jonah versus Parker. I once again, it's difficult to figure out what Ellie does. Uh, would she vote Parker or High? Because I don't think she does Jonah, so it's either Parker or High. Yeah, Parker or High. Um,
Hi, Jonah Parker.
yeah,
Um, it would be Hio Parker. I
yeah,
guess. Um, you have to come down to. I guess maybe. I think you got to be a. You got to say which do you think played a better game?
yeah. I don't. She hasn't given thoughts about any of them. I think
Yeah. So
Parker.
I think you got to go into that thing of like you see who played a better game.
I think Parker has played a better game, but I think High Space has played a game that she would respect more.
How so?
I think a lot of it is the comp thing.
Oh, then
I
yeah,
also
I
think
can see that.
I also think Pulko might be a bit. I mean, High Space is someone people call GameBot, but he hasn't really been as much of one this season. I think Ellie might not like how GameBody Pulko has been.
That the thing with that though would have to be they never interacted in the game, right? Oh no, they interacted at her boot.
Yeah, I would put her down as a High Space vote, but that's not for sure.
Yeah.
Jalen is a Pulko vote.
Mm.
That's locked in. Like, yeah.
He played he played Jalen's idol for him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Minnie. I think Minnie is a High Space vote.
Yeah, because they came from the same tribe. I think
I'm
there is like a Mario bond.
Yeah, I'm looking at what Minnie has said recently to see if that's actually the case. Um, Minnie, God, why can I not find it? Um,
Minnie said, "High space, go high space. We're from the same OG tribe. Mario, rise up, high space."
I don't think
I
he said
definitely
that.
didn't make that up.
Yeah, I don't think he said that. Um,
Well, he said that in my heart.
I'm gonna put him down as a High Space vote. Actually, no, I don't know. I don't know if I feel confident about that yet.
I would stand as a high space vote.
I, God, high. I think we go high. Actually, Phil is a High Space vote.
Could vote. Could vote Parker. I'm like trying to look through the jury to see, but
Phil
it's hard when a lot of the discussion is Roblox.
Phil is mad at Pulkle, so Phil votes high. Badger is a Pulkle vote.
Badger is high on Parker or respects.
Badger's pretty high in Pulkle.
Right.
Yeah. Zach has Pulkle as his number 2 and high as his number 3. I think he votes Pulkle, though. I mean, he has Pulkle high. High Space is his
Mm,
pregame, but I think he does Pulkle.
interesting. 'Cause Parker voted Zach at the Zach's Lost Tribal,
I don't
and
think Tuckle hates that, though. I mean, Zach hates that.
they did like conflict a little at the end.
Yeah, I would still give that to Pulkle, but it's narrow.
Mm. Who's next? Tucker.
Tuckle votes for High Space.
Jenny
Pulkle, I
votes
would say.
Parker.
Paintbrush votes for
And
Pulkle.
yeah, and
And
then
then Beagle votes for High
Beaker.
Space.
What does that give us?
That is a 5-5, which means
Oh, fuck!
Jonah has to break the tie.
Your charts were not built for this. You're building some sort of thing right now.
I just did. Um
Uh,
I would
huh.
say he votes.
High space.
Yeah, because I think he's mad at Pulkle for how much he's been able to pull off. Which
Mm,
means High Space wins us in 6-5-0.
yeah. I think
And there's
only
two.
timeline is you could differ with like Mini being a swing.
Yeah. And none of these votes are anything close to being locked in. These are just
Yeah. Oh
uh
yeah, these are all guesses.
these are goofy ass predictions. It could be nothing like this. I just think this is
Speaking
a
of
cool video. So,
speaking of goofy ass predictions, next goofy ass prediction.
Beaker, Jonah, Paintbrush.
Beaker, Jonah, Paintbrush. Sorry, I have like my own spreadsheet where I kind of did them. I'm not doing the chart that
I think
He
Ellie
made.
votes for Beagle. Don't even need to talk about that.
Oh, this is such a fun one.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, all right, yeah. Ellie, I'm trying to look at my mind. Ellie votes Beaker, yeah.
Jalen votes
Jalen does Paintbrush.
yeah,
Minnie does Beaker.
Beagle.
Philium. Who does Philium do?
I am going to check at their most recent ranking. They're not super high in Beagle from a game standpoint. A- Actually, it looks like Phil would do Jonah in this scenario.
Hmm. I would think that um I would think that Phil would do between Beaker and Paintbrush because I think it's a thing of like they maybe assess from jury vibes that Jonah loses a lot of scenarios. So they either vote Jonah with the possibility of like it being a throwaway vote. Not a throwaway vote per se, but just it's a vote that like doesn't I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a vote for like a person that's not going to win, but you're voting them to win with full intention
Could
thing.
see
So
Phil
it'd be
giving a
like Beaker or
sympathy vote
Paintbrush.
though.
Ooh, maybe then in that timeline I'm like, okay, yeah, Jonah.
Okay, Badger goes Beagle.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Zach, what do we think Zach does?
Zach, how are Paintbrush and Zach?
Okay, so this is actually Zach's nightmare scenario. These are his bottom three people. The one he has the highest though is Paint. So we're gonna say Paint.
All right, puts Paint
Tuckle
in.
Tuckle has Paint, surprisingly.
Interesting. Where is I'm gonna read these confessionals.
Jenny can vote. I don't think Jenny votes Paint. So it's either Beagle or Jonah. I think she votes Beagle then.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Polko
And
votes for
then,
Paintbrush.
yep, and then High Space votes for Beaker.
I think it's actually a debate.
High Space doesn't vote Beaker?
I could see High Space voting for Paint.
Cool.
I think,
I see High Space voting who he believes played the best game.
which I think is
Um,
Paint. I, uh, I think he votes Beagle actually. I think it's close enough between the two where personal connection might actually come in. And I think Paint is someone he's never ever been able to work with, and they've consistently targeted each other.
and I do think Beaker also does have like a nice under the radar game.
Yeah, I think that's a Beagle W. Because it is a 5-4-1 Beagle Paint Jonah. And the special chart has now appeared on your screen.
Whoa, 5-4. Ooh. This is an interesting one. Like this scenario I'm interested in honestly, just because it does feel like it's such a up in the air thing.
Yeah. Next is Beagle Jonah Palkle. Ellie, I think, votes
Beaker,
for
Jonah,
Beagle.
Parker. Um, Simple thoughts is I think it's just a Parker win.
Wait, would Ellie vote for Palkle or Beagle?
It's hard. Um, it is always just really hard because it's the thing of like I think she has more of a connection to Beaker. But I think Parker played a better game than Beaker. So I think Beaker. I think she votes Beaker.
I think the
I
same thing.
because I think that they were nice allies, close allies, and stuff. And I think she does not have any resentment for Beaker turning on her.
Yeah.
So she votes Beaker.
I think Minnie votes for. Actually, surprisingly, as
I
of
think
about a
Minnie votes Beaker.
as of a week ago, Minnie had Jonah above Beagle. But I think that has changed since then.
What the hell? What?
Yeah.
Wait, where is this?
On the
Where
10th.
where do you say like these rankings?
Oh yeah, I'm doing control find in the Joey chat.
Oh
On
yeah, because they had done rankings.
on July 10th, he had Jonah at 2, Beagle at 5, and Parker at 6. But I think since then he's come around to Beagle a bit, and I also think their connection pulls through in the end.
Um, let me see. I'm looking at your Beak has he did phrase it. If we had to vote right now based off gameplay, I would go. And then that's the list. So he believes off gameplay he would do Jonah over Beaker.
I
But
think since
I
then,
think that was at Final 8. I think now things have changed.
yeah,
Partially, and Jonah has sort of dropped off. And this is also you're not just solely doing on gameplay. I think he does Beaker.
yeah. And then Phil goes Jonah.
Right.
I think so. Do you disagree?
Oh no, I just say right, and I was just yawning.
Okay. uh, Badger, Beagle vote. No,
Yeah,
Badger's a Poco vote, I think.
a Parker vote.
Badger and Poco had a final 2, and I think Badger respects Poco's game.
Badger also tried to vote out Parker.
Yeah, but that was like a very last minute weird thing. I think Badger is a Poco vote.
Interesting.
I think,
I think Badger is a Beaker vote, but you have the spreadsheet, so you're
yeah, I
final
have the
say. So
spreadsheet and I'm
Badger is
putting
a
him down
Parker
as
vote.
Poco.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out in the end.
Um, and then I would say Zach is a
Zach
Poco vote.
votes Parker. Tucker votes Parker. Or does Tucker vote Beaker?
That's an interesting scenario. I think
Tucker votes Parker.
Chuckle says
Maybe I
Poco.
think because
Yeah.
the thing is like Tucker, Beaker, Jonah, High Space were a group partially because Tucker also thought that's where he wins, and so they would acknowledge that Parker has played a better game, thus would vote Parker.
Yeah, I think. Who are we on technically? Tuckle?
Tucker, yeah,
Yeah, Tuckle does Poco, and then Jenny and Paint also do the same.
yeah.
And then High Space,
And High Space. I don't know.
he could go Beagle or Poco, honestly, but I think he might go.
If he prioritizes gameplay, he votes Parker. If he prioritizes mateship, I think maybe Beaker.
I'm gonna say Poco just because Poco is
Yeah.
so. This is actually another tie, but it's for force. I mean for second, not for forced. So then if it's a
What
tie,
is the vote count? I think if it's a so if it's a tie, it would be who Parker votes, and then I think Parker votes Beaker.
I think Poco votes Jonah.
Interesting.
So then Jonah gets second, and Beagle gets third. Wait, no, I'm wrong. That's a 7-2. Ignore everything I just said. I counted wrong. It's a 7-2.
No, wait, I want that. Cooper sent the photo into the chat, so I got to see it, and I wanted to put it up on the board, but now I can't. But yeah.
It's a 7-2-1
Um,
actually.
so my disagreements were like Badger and High Space. Well, not disagreements, but those are like the changes. If it changes,
And either way,
um,
Parkour still has 5 votes.
yeah, Parker still, yeah. I mean, even then, I think if Parker reaches FTC, the only one where it's difficult is if High Space is there.
Yeah,
Other
I
than that, I think it's a very simple like Parker wins, and it's just a few like close ally mateship votes, maybe per se or such.
okay.
Next permutation combination.
We have 5 more
Um,
scenarios, but they're going fast now. This
yeah, I have not had lunch yet. It is 4 p.m.
Yeah, this one is Jonah Paintbrush Parkour.
Jonah Paintbrush Parker. Oh,
Ellie
that's
votes for Parkour here, I think.
yeah, we'll say that.
Jalen votes for Parkour.
Yep.
Minnie votes for Beagle.
Wait, what's the combination?
Oh, votes for Joan. Oh shit. Who the
Isn't
fuck?
it Jonah Parker
It,
Paintbrush?
it is Jonah Paint Parkour. God,
I
who would?
would say Mini votes Parker.
Yeah, I think.
Or no, he said on gameplay he has Parker lower though. So,
I think he's
but
low on
let's
all.
just say that.
I think he's kind of low on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I, I'm gonna say Parkour.
Yeah, I was gonna say Parker too, because that's also Final 8, and it's based off gameplay itself.
Phil
So,
is a paintbrush vote based on the last time they gave an opinion. But that's still
Badger.
true. Badger is a Parkour vote.
Badger is a Parker vote.
Zach is a
Badger.
Parkour
Yep.
vote.
Zach. Tucker is a. What is
Oh,
Tucker? Is Tucker a Parker vote?
I I'm thinking about it as we talk. I would say probably a paint vote.
Ooh.
Tucker just didn't like Parkour as much as paint.
Ah. Okay.
Jenny votes for
Um.
Parkour.
Yep.
High Space votes for Parkour.
Beaker votes for Parker.
I could see Beagle voting Jonah, honestly. Honest,
Yeah.
partially to spite the other two.
Oh yeah.
In this
That's hard
scenario,
because this timeline does. I do not believe this scenario
yeah,
happens.
this would never happen. But if it does, Parkour wins the game 7-2-1.
Boom. It's
Boom.
it's it's up on the screen, even though it hasn't been sent. Yeah,
It has been
it's
sent.
funny. It's funny to say boom when it's like I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is Beagle, High Space, and Paintbrush. Ellie
Oh,
is
that's an
between,
interesting one.
and it is. Never mind. This one's Ellie's vote is between Beagle and High Space. I would say,
Beaker,
yeah. And then Jalen's vote is Paintbrush.
Minnie's vote is Beaker.
Yep. Actually,
Could
um,
be high
actually,
space.
actually, I do think it could be High Space.
I guess you gotta judge it off mateship or gameplay then.
Oh, High is He definitely votes High Space.
All
High
right,
Space is who he
then.
thinks has the best game.
Right. Then that is that. Philium.
Phil, I think, is also a High Space vote.
Then Badger.
That one's somewhat difficult, but I would say, honestly, I think he goes Beagle.
Beaker. All right. Zach, high space. Tucker, high space.
Zach would go High Space, yeah. Tucker would do the same. Jenny, Beagle, or High Space. I think previously we said she would go for.
I think she does high space.
Well, previously we said she would do Beagle, and I still think that. So I want to say she does Beagle.
I've changed my mind.
Why is that?
I think I don't know. I think just Beaker and Jenny didn't seem much like they were allies, and yet they were on Samus tribe together, and they've been in this merge. They've been obviously been on the same tribe in this merge, and I think for that longevity, if you don't have that sort of allyship or something, it's either sort of a respectful disagreement, or you just didn't get along with that person, and so you're not going to vote them at the end.
Actually, yeah, I think Jenny being a high space vote is fail. That means I need to adjust the original chart.
No, I would still keep it the same. I don't know.
I'm gonna fix it.
Okay.
I will clearly mark it though.
Wait, but then the image will be wrong in early in the video.
Yeah, I mean, you can add it in.
Boom, here is the image that was meant to be earlier that is now changed. Now back to the scheduled program.
Pogo votes Paintbrush.
Yep.
Jonah votes
High
Beagle.
space. Jonah votes Jonah.
Yeah. I
I have to
think.
think about that. He maybe votes Paintbrush.
Oh fuck you, right? No,
Because
I don't think he would. I think it's a spite thing. They're kind of mad at each other
I
recently.
think it depends on if Paintbrush hasn't forgiven him. But Jonah has forgiven him, I think, per se.
I mean, fuck trust
Um,
rankings. No, Paint has
but
forgiven Jonah, but Jonah hasn't forgiven Paint.
yeah. Um,
I think.
Jonah's considering a final tribal council of him Beaker High or him Paint High, which I think maybe makes him think Beaker has a good game. So he thinks low of High Space's game.
Yeah, I would put him as a Beagle vote, which means that vote is a 4-4-2, which makes Paint the tiebreaker.
Oh, I think Paint votes
I think Paint does
High
high.
Space.
Yeah, I think so.
This has been eye-opening fun because my basis has sort of been like Parker, high space, beaker slash paintbrush, and then Jonah.
Yeah, now that's changed.
It's also funny looking back at like our mid-season rankings.
Yeah, what did I have high space? Like 7th?
You had a high space kind of like 7th or something. I had high space at like 5.
Okay, so I don't know if I said it, but I'm gonna say it again. High space wins 5-4-2 in that scenario.
Yeah, it's on the board. 542. That's such a strange number to
Yeah, that
see.
is Ellie, Beaker, high space, Pauko.
Beaker, high space Parker. Ellie, let's say she does Beaker.
Yeah, I think so too. Jalen goes Pauko.
Yep.
Minnie
Who's
goes high
next?
space.
Minnie goes. Oh, that's such an interesting scenario. But yeah,
It
okay, yeah.
is, it
Minnie
is.
goes high space.
Phil also goes high space.
Oh yeah, I would see Minnie doing high space makes sense because it's this thing of like Beaker is ride or die. But I think Minnie would also maybe see it as like a battle between high space and Parker and be like, yeah, I think high space played a better game, so I'd vote high space. Because it would be between those two sort of
I
thing.
think Badger's a Pauko vote.
Badger. Ooh, Badger is a Parker vote. Yeah.
It's close.
Then Zach. I think Badger's vote will like you would find out at FTC
I think Zach votes Pauko, but it's
in that scenario.
a small gap. While I think
Um.
Tucko does high.
Hmm. I think Zach votes high space.
I think it's close between the two. Right now, Zach has
Yeah.
Pauko at
It,
2, but it's somewhat begrudgingly.
I think it's that thing of like the margin seems very slim that you got to figure it out. But I don't think. I don't imagine Zach has any ill will towards high space. So I think he would be more content with voting high space.
I'm gonna be honest, I think I would lean him doing Pauko.
Then he does Parker.
Jenny and Paint do Pauko, and then Jonah does high.
Yes. What does that give us?
That gives us a 5-4-1 with Pauko, high space, Beagle.
I want to see that timeline now. I want to see that timeline.
Yeah, that would be a fun
Because
one.
what that timeline to happen would have to be Parker comps out.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Paintbrush goes 5th, and um,
Ooh, this next one's fun.
then Jonah would have to be 4th. Is this next one
High
high
space?
space Parker Paintbrush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellie votes Pauko.
Yes.
Jalen votes Pauko.
Or maybe she votes high space.
I think she goes Pauko.
Um,
Actually, no, I think she goes high, actually.
yeah, I think it's like comp respect.
Yeah, no, I agree. Uh, Minnie goes high space as well. Phil goes high
Jalen
space.
goes,
Pauko.
yeah, yeah. Minnie goes high space. Phil does high space. Badger does.
I think Pauko.
Okay, Parker.
And then
Zach.
Zach. I know you disagree. I think it's such a small margin. I'm gonna say Pauko. It's a small margin, though.
I would say high space, but yes, Parker.
Tucker does high
Parker,
space.
high space. Jenny
Does Pauko.
does Parker.
Jonah.
I think Jonah does high space.
Yeah, and then Biko does high space, and high space wins.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a
It'd
six
be
four to
interesting.
zero vote.
It'd be interesting to see how that timeline shakes out. If like you would need Beaker and Jonah to be the next two boots, which would require them flipping. But I
Yeah,
don't think that timeline. Like Parker and Paintbrush in Final Trouble Council together just seems like something that won't happen anymore.
and then the final scenario is Biko, Paintbrush, and Palco.
I think that's a Parker win.
Ellie votes
Without
Biko, I think.
going, yeah,
Jalen votes Palco.
yep. Many votes.
Mini.
Beaker.
Um,
That's my take because I think it would be a battle between Parker and Beaker. And
I
so I
think
think,
he does Biko, yeah.
yeah, I think if Beaker has a shot, Mini sticks for and fights for Beaker.
Therium is a hard one. Actually, just based purely on data that we have from opinions they've given, Therium would be a paint vote.
Then it is a paint vote.
Badger votes Palco. Stack votes Palco. Tuckle.
Um, votes Parker
I want to say so, but let me make
or
sure.
Beaker.
Yeah, it's between those two. Actually, Tuckle's a paint fan over those two.
Oh,
Jenny votes Palco.
then paint.
Jonah votes Beagle.
Yeah.
And then High Space.
Um, I think High Space votes Parker.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm gonna say that as well. Which means Palco wins this scenario 5-3-2. Beagle gets 3 votes, and Paint gets 2.
Boom. Thing on
And
the
now,
graphic.
we are not totally finished yet, but we are mostly finished. The final thing,
We gotta run down like the winners of each and like
yeah,
count that. Yeah,
basically,
I've been
I just
counting.
want to talk about how many winning scenarios each player has.
How do you want to do that in order of like least to most, most to least, or just spit them out?
Yeah, would you be able to do a cut here while I assemble the data?
Yes. So this is gonna be a large gap, and then welcome back. That's gonna
Okay,
be an ugly cut. I hope that's a very scuffed cut that I just did.
yeah,
Um,
so it
and
doesn't matter. I have the final
yeah,
chart of how many
say when
scenarios
it appears.
each person wins.
What
I
the
will
fuck is
say
there a
when it
yellow
appears
bus?
after I say how many scenarios each person wins in. Jonah and Paint, we don't think they win any of these. Beagle, we think wins one, but he is close in quite a few. Poker, we have winning 4 of them, and Paint, we have winning, not Paint, High, we have winning 5. So,
Yes.
to explain, in case you have
Boom.
to deduce this,
Spreadsheet.
each person has 6 possible scenarios. So, High having 5 out of 6 is very impressive. But yeah, with that,
It
I don't
is
think there's
indeed.
much else to cover. I mean, pretty much we've gotten everything. Me personally,
Yeah.
I thought this was a fun segment. Um, but I don't have much else to say, so I guess we wrap
It's
it up here.
fun to flesh out. Before we wrap it up, you do have to also consider while these are winning scenarios, you do have to consider the odds of someone reaching the end.
For sure.
Because who we believe Parker and Paintbrush are one of them is going to be the next boot. The question comes what happens after that? Because like the main focus they've been on is getting like defeating the Beaker, High Space Joan have been defeating the trio. But you look here and you see Paintbrush is like the least threatening in that trio. So after they get rid of Parker, would Beaker or Jonah? I think Beaker's no. I think Jonah's considering maybe trying to get rid of Beaker instead of High. But I think what it looks is Jonah probably reaches the end.
No matter what.
Yeah. Um, and then after that, it really just comes down to like everyone's perception of Beaker and High Space,
Mhm.
and also maybe High Space and Parker. I think Beaker, Beaker, I think has like the next easiest chance of reaching, and then High Space, and then Parker, because Parker needs to win probably all these immunities. Because honestly, he's played like a really good, impressive game. Uh, and then it just comes down to say, I guess maybe the one timeline would be what happens if Paco wins immunity at 4. That would maybe be how Beaker or High Space gets knocked out. Or what happens if Paintbrush wins immunity at 4, or what happens if just Paintbrush is at 4 or something. But it's also like there is also the final immunity, so whoever wins that gets a spot in Final Tribal Council, no matter
Yeah.
what. Which I think could Beaker win trivia? I have not seen it before because
I
Beaker was in Estonia.
I don't I don't know if Beaker wins trivia. I
Mm.
I feel like anyone could win trivia besides Paint.
Oh, I was gonna say High Space wins trivia.
I mean, he definitely could. I would say
Yeah, because he's won
him
it
or
before.
Parker.
Oh yeah, if it's him versus Parker, that'd be an interesting battle.
Mhm.
It would also be an interesting scenario, say Parker wins immunity and they don't target Paintbrush.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Then shit gets wild.
Yeah, then my edge of contenders are fucked.
But then it depends on perspective, because again, Jonah's noted his scenarios would be like Beaker High Space him, or him High Space Paintbrush, and we are saying that High Space has good win con,
Mhm.
um, so which is different to his perspective. So it really just, I think in the end, the winner is not too defined yet, which
Oh,
is
for sure.
interesting. Yeah, it
It's gonna
just will be
figure
a
it
lot
out.
of little nuances. And also we're gonna eventually ask the jury at like Final Four, like to rank the finalists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
we
then we'll
could
have
be.
like more data from that.
We could be so wrong, but at the end of the day, I like data, and it was fun to compile this.
This was fun.
Plus, we need content for the damn YouTube channel, so here's content.
Yeah, this is content, and it'll be interesting to see in what the scenario that the one of these 10 scenarios of what does happen and seeing how similar it does actually match up.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
yeah,
think would be pretty close, at least 50% correct.
yeah, I think so.
I got nothing else to say though, so I will be
Yeah, I
signing
think
off for you
it's
to wrap it up.
time to wrap it up. I don't have too much else to say. I will be doing something postseason. Might do it alone. Might do it with Ren. Might do it with Ren and other hosts. Might do it with people from this season. I don't know yet. But I will do some sort
People
of
from
like
the season, reach out if you want a podcast.
I might do some sort of review slash kind of a recap of the season, just going through everything that happened, um, how I think everyone's stories are at the end of it, like whose legacy went up. Um, I'll probably talk about Edgic, all that garbage. and then after that, I'm gonna do a player ranking, and then after that, I'll move on to stuff from past seasons or maybe a winner ranking. I don't know. Plenty of options to go from here. At some point, I might try and get a consistent, like, a video a week. I don't fucking know. But I would like to do more. But for now, I think we wrap it up. So thank you, Ren, for joining me. Please go eat. You are hungry. Go
I
eat.
am being held captive. Please send help.
Yeah, please go eat.
Okay. Is this where we say bye?
Yeah, you say bye because I gotta sleep. Bye bye.
Bye.